Hey, good morning and welcome to Monday. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And, man, it just keeps coming. 2020 is one of those years, all the stuff obviously going on with COVID, the employment situation, the rioting, the looting, all of the other things on top of that. This time, Brooke, her stepfather passed away over the weekend. Shout out to Arlene. Arlene literally just walked in the door to cover here. My wife's out of town trying to help our older son. Him and his roommates are moving into their house. You don't hear enough about this, the mental aspect of the imprisonment that's going on. And every state is different. Arizona, like ASU, never shut their dorms. No, not at all. Not through this whole thing. They left, even in the summer they were open. ASU is open. NAU is open. So most of my son's friends, I got a son, he's going to be 21 in 3 days. And he's been, sitting almost, kind of quasi-prison. And he got a house up with three other boys that also kind of are in similar situation. My wife was talking to their parents, and they were saying the same thing. Oh, he's got to get out. I mean, he's got to go. Because they're losing their minds, and at least they can lose it together. So my wife's up in Chicago, helping these kids get situated. Brooke is, like I said, her stepfather passed away. Arlene's come in to fill it up. At least we got somebody here. Maybe the busiest Friday and so far Monday in years, maybe ever, here at Patriot. That's how busy things are. We're trying to stay on top of it. We got a lot of shipping. I will say this. Colorado's a little ahead of us, but by tomorrow, any of you that have been waiting for us, everything's going to hopefully be out. We're waiting on one last gold shipment that was supposed to be here a week ago. But again, the post office and all of their glory having issues. But I think it's going to be here today, and we'll get it all out to everybody, and I appreciate your patience. Gold's up again. Silver flying this morning. Matter of fact, silver's up 75 cents, 28 and a quarter. Gold's up $5-6 here, pushing up on 1975. The Dow's down 200. New Dow members coming into the Dow. ExxonMobil, one of the ones, they've been in the Dow for 97 years. They're out. The stock splitters, Apple and Tesla today, their stocks have finally split. The Dow is down 200 points right now. And I don't know that really matters. I mean, let's face it, the Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ are really just a handful of companies. Apple splitting, believe it or not, was bad for the Dow. Because Apple, the way the Dow works, it works on stock price. So the stock split now, Apple is only the 17th most powerful company in it, and it's just weird. So it's kind of, the Dow's down for a different reason other than that, but nonetheless, that's probably more information than anybody needed to know. Arlene's working the phones right now. We're trying to put some things together for everybody. 800-951-0592. Got to talk about, you hate talking about it, but you got to talk about it, right? You got to talk about the rioting, the looting, the shooting now, and two very different shootings. You had the one in Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, we know about that one. Right? We know about that one. What you don't know about that one is the fact that the people that passed and the one that was injured, not very good people. You don't hear that, but that's the truth. But they get GoFundMe pages. If you try to raise money for the 17-year-old, right, you're a horrible person. Matter of fact, a Republican group at ASU tried to do that, and then how horrible they are. And then, of course, you had what I'll call the assassination that happened. I think it was it Portland? And again, another Antifa bad guy, neck tattoo, the whole 9 yards, the criminal record and the drugs and all that stuff, assassinating a Trump supporter. And again, remember what I've said about it all. Violence is going to fill the void. You need law and order. And I don't know how all of a sudden, I love this. Well, they were mostly peaceful. As soon as the word mostly comes into the equation, it's not peaceful. It's either peaceful or it's not. Mostly peaceful means it's not peaceful. And we've had this quote-unquote mostly peaceful everywhere where there's not law and order. There's been protests here in Phoenix. You don't see about it on the news because there's law and order. There's law and order. If you go into any of these neighborhoods, I don't care where it is, Chicago, wherever, and especially the neighborhoods with high crime rates, they want more police, not less. I mean, I can only speak about New York. New York City was a cesspool my whole childhood. Up until they got sick of it and voted for Rudy Giuliani, and then there was police everywhere. I don't know. It's a crazy world we live in. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. Everyone be patient. And I don't want to be rude. We will call you. We will get you. I promise. Just settle in. Settle in. It's just, listen, it is just taking longer. We've got to accept it. I don't like it. But believe me, if you've ordered, well, you know this. We've got your back. We got you covered. We just got, listen, I just got incredible news, silver. I don't have any silver eagles. Okay, I don't. I wish I did, but I don't. And right now it's like, I don't know, $39, $40 again. It's hard to get. I've got quarter bags. These are not here. They're not in Colorado. We're not going to touch them. I've got a supplier, wholesaler, who will ship these for us in quarter bag instrument. Now, if you want to pick up in Colorado or Phoenix, we'll ship them there. Okay, so don't think you can't pick them up at the offices. You can. Otherwise, we'll ship them right to your doorstep. I've got dimes and quarters. There's no halves, but I've got dimes and I've got quarters. I've got about 10 quarter bags of each. 10 quarter bags of each. Each quarter bag is $5,900. These are not going to be rolled. Okay, they're not going to be put in rolls. These are just going to be in the quarter bags themselves. That's 1,000 quarters. On the dimes, it's 2,500 dimes. They're going to be $5,900 delivered, which puts your price right at $33. Just to give you some perspective right now, that's about $2, or I'm sorry, $2, $1.25 over cost. So this is about as good as it's going to get in the silver markets at 800-951-0592. Quarter bags of dimes and quarters. You can mix in. You got to buy the quarter bag, but you can buy multiple bags. You can buy a quarter bag of dimes and a quarter bag of quarters. You can buy all dimes or all quarters. Either way, 800-951-0592. A lot of things to digest, especially with what's been happening with the unemployment checks, really, really hard to understand. Right now, the extra money that hasn't come. J.P. Morgan was out this morning talking about the lack of retail sales because of the loss of the extra $600 a week. They say they're seeing little sign that there's any benefit whatsoever to not having the extra $600. Listen, J.P. Morgan's upset. They got paid for that stuff, the extra $600. But I'm going to do this. I got to find the article here. I apologize. Oh, by the way, Credit One, what's in your wallet, announcing they're cutting credit lines. So be ready. They may be cutting credit card limits. If you have other loans with Capital One, they're saying that the slowdown in the economy is getting worse. The people not paying getting worse, and they're going to start cutting people's credit lines. And again, I think this is just going to happen pretty much all over the place. New Jersey hiking the gas tax. And again, we got to remember revenues now for cities and states. They're bringing their gas hikes by 22.5%. New Jersey now has increased their gas tax by 250%. Starting, 9.3% increase in the state of New Jersey per gallon of gas starting October 1. States are going to get creative. We're going to see a lot of these taxes all over: property tax, gasoline tax, sales tax, all kinds of, wealth tax. And just get ready to start hearing a lot more about tax this and tax that. New Jersey now, the state tax in New Jersey now 50.7 cents a gallon. And again, it's these little things. They just add up, and again, I don't know how the states are going to do it. Over the weekend, Nancy Pelosi said, we're not compromising. We either get 2.2 trillion or no deal. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't think they really understand what's really going on. Back to the $300, and I can't find the article that I was looking for about that, but I'll just explain it to you. That came through executive order, but the president just reallocated money from FEMA. It was only about $44 billion. That's roughly, if all states did it, that would be roughly 3 weeks worth of money. That's it. Right now, Arizona is by far the leader. Arizona's actually the only state I know of that's actually getting their checks. There's now 34 states that have signed up, but they can't get it done. This is how government lets you down. So think about this. The federal government comes out, whether you liked it or not, and said, hey, we will give every one of your unemployed people, and again, there was criteria, wasn't everyone, right? If you didn't make enough or if you were this or that, but it doesn't matter. Hey, we are going to give a large chunk of the people collecting unemployment an extra $300 a week. Okay? No strings attached. You would think, whether you were a Democrat or Republican, you would jump all over it. Now, of course, remember I warned you about this is the problem with government. There's paperwork problems. Arizona, for whatever reason, we didn't have the problem. No, fine, FEMA, we don't care. Let's go. We'll take it. All of these other states, and again, there's 33 other states that I know of that have actually applied and been approved. There's one state that said we're not applying, and I have no idea what the other 15 states are possibly doing. If you apply, you get approved. I mean, it's just that simple. But all of these other states, Colorado being one of them, they say they can't figure it out. Right? There's some logistical problem. Well, it's coming from FEMA, so I don't know what the problem is. But again, this is government. They can't do anything. I mean, they were better off, right? We should have just gave it to Walmart, right? What that, think about it, like it's FEMA money, right? When FEMA needs help, they call Walmart. Maybe that's what we should have done. We should have just called Walmart. Hey, will you handle this for us? They probably could have done a better job. But this is the holdup in a lot of these states. It's not that the states didn't ask. Matter of fact, Colorado, they were right behind Arizona. They were one of the first. They still aren't doing it. And they're saying that there's technical issues, and there was an article, I thought I had it, I've lost it, I can't find it anymore. It broke down every state and all these states of why it is that they can't get it done, and now we're starting to deal with the next round of layoffs. The longer this goes on, all this does, right? Think about this. All it does is put more people out of work. That's it. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Hey, we are going to give out 300, and in Arizona alone, over 400,000 people were getting this extra $300 a week. So, I mean, you kind of can, think about every state and like, well, that's a lot of money. And now what we're seeing is the layoffs are all starting again, where we're having what they're calling round 2 of the layoffs, places that opened. Business was, hey, I can have 50% of my business, or I can have, restrictions on my business, or even, hey, there was no restriction. I was allowed to open. The amount of revenue coming in states where restaurants have reopened, sales are down 50%. 50%. And this is the ones that have reopened. The ones that are partially open, right, sales are down, 70%. And that's just the restaurant side. We haven't even talked, the hotels and the airlines and all of those things. We talked about that last week. And every single thing about the last 2 weeks in a row, we've had over 1 million new jobless claims coming in again. And it's so hard. So hard when you sit there and you think about why it is that this is happening or that's happening, or why aren't we doing this, right? Why don't we have the police out in force in these areas? Why is it that we're allowing for these people to be bailed out? The guy that shot the Trump supporter over the weekend, he had been arrested at a previous rally because of having a gun. Released without charges. I mean, this is what's happening. We're just re-releasing criminals out onto the street. And you know what? It's starting to make a difference. How about this one? Ohio. The Ohio Police and Fire Pension Fund has allocated a 5% holding for gold. Now, a lot of people, I get this call a lot. Matter of fact, I just had one earlier this morning. Hey, I have a 401k. For a lot of people, that's where their money is, right? It's in their 401k, or if you're a policeman, a fireman, a teacher, right, it's in your pension, right? And for a lot of Americans, that's really it, right? Hey, I pay my bills, and I got just enough to make the ends meet, and maybe I save a little bit, but mostly I'm counting on this 401k or this pension. But I want to buy gold. You can't do it. It's not allowed. Right? It's not allowed if you're still working. Now, if it's a 401k from a job you're no longer working at, hey, we can roll that over. No problem. But if you're currently employed, you can't do it. But now we're starting to see, right? We saw some of the funds in Texas last year, very similar to the central banks, right? Hey, give us our gold back. Or the central banks doing all the gold buying. Now, all of a sudden, we're starting to see pension funds saying, you know what? We got to have it. And this, we're not talking paper gold. Listen, they already had exposure to paper gold. That's why I keep telling you, paper gold's not buying gold. Two different things. Buying a mining company is not buying gold. Buying an ETF is not buying gold. So the $16 billion police and fire pension fund says following in the steps of Warren Buffett. Now, they're really not, right? Warren, he bought the largest miner in the world, or bought a stake of it. He doesn't own it. Making a statement about owning gold. It's approved a 5% allocation to gold to help diversify the fund's portfolio to hedge against the risk of inflation. And really what that means, see, inflation's a really tricky word. In this case, they're saying, hey, we're worried about dollar devaluation. We like to call that inflation, right? We like to call that inflation. Well, I shouldn't say we like to. I like to call it what it is. But the mainstream media, right, and the quote-unquote economists, they like to call that inflation. And remember, Jay Powell just told us how wonderful inflation is. Just ask him. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this fund and why they did it. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break.
Yes, ma'am, by God be done.
800-951-0592. So a big change in the market now. This was something you never heard of, right? We would have a hedge fund here or there, and we do. We have a good handful of hedge funds that are big gold buyers, right? But not at this level, and not at the, especially when you're talking about pension funds, huge money. Now, granted, they're all underwater, but still, this one fund, $16 billion. Now, in true Wall Street fashion, they're not actually going to sell any of their other holdings to buy this gold. They're just going to increase the leverage. They're going to go from 20% leverage to 25% leverage, which will allow them to put 5% into now this is physical gold. So the gold is going to be stored. The fund, following the advice of their investment consultant, Wilshire and Associates. Now, they're pretty big. They advise a lot of pension funds, and now people are starting to speculate what this could mean for the industry. So think about this for a minute. The whole gold market, and what we would say with investable gold, maybe $1 trillion, right? At $1 trillion, I'd be doing a show telling you I don't have any gold. There's no gold to be bought. I don't have any. Can't do it for you. Where, the equity market's hundreds of trillions of dollars. If this fund becomes the trendsetter, which is what I believe, it's what a lot of people believe. I think it's what Warren Buffett believes. And other funds start following suit, right? Look out. Right? Look out. Because you just don't have the supply out there to the point, and let me tell you how interesting this has become. And we're just trying to collect the dots, and connect them all and see, kind of like a puzzle. How does this all fit together? So we know that New York and London have been having an issue getting enough delivery bars. So think about when I tell you the spot price, like right now, spot gold's up 7, okay? Spot gold's up 7, $1,975. The quote I'm giving you, this is from New York, okay? Kitco has London, but either way, they have rules. When you buy a contract, a paper contract, one paper contract in New York is 100 ounces. One paper contract in London is 400 ounces. The amount of request for physical delivery, most of the people that buy contracts, and they're buying them by the thousands, right? They're just placing bets. In other words, the current we'll use the contract that's heavily traded, December, which, by the way, gold's 1983. December gold contract. That means, hey, do you think the price of gold in December, when this contract ends, is going to be higher or lower than 1983? And then they say, hey, I think it's going to be higher, so I'm going to go long. Or I think it's going to be lower. I'm going to go short. Before those contracts ever expire, because once the contract expires, you own it. Most of them just roll out of it and go into the next. Hey, I'm going to go to April now. And they're just placing bets and trying to make some money guessing the market. And a lot of them, hey, I know I'm going to make some money because I'm going to guess the market with billions of dollars, so I know I'm right? That kind of thing. But what's been happening now is something that really hasn't happened before. We've seen a little bit of it, but not like we've seen lately. More and more buyers of these contracts are telling the exchanges, we want delivery. And they weren't set up. They're like, wait, what? Well, we don't have that much gold to deliver. We don't have the stock. So, and I meant to get to this article last week, and I didn't, but I'm going to give it to you today. Both the COMEX, the Chicago, the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and the London Exchange have now increased the number of contractors that are allowed to deliver good delivery bars to the exchanges. And like I said, in the U.S., they're 100 ounce. In London, they're 400 ounce. Of course, they made rules now that, hey, we'll do whatever, right? If you've got 400 ounce contracts, we can send you a 400 ounce bar if we need to, vice versa. But now they're saying that they are allowing as many new contractors that can deliver good delivery bars. And again, it's all about purity, right? They want all the bars to be 9995 in 100 ounce, these bricks. And you think about in New York, 100 ounces is a couple $100,000. In London, a 400-ounce brick, which would actually be maybe like an inch thick, right? That's almost $1 million. It's $800,000 in physical metal. And so now what we're seeing, this is going to get interesting. It's almost like the exchanges knew. Hey, the old way, where we only had a handful of refiners to that would deliver, right? And think about it. It's been running this way for decades. Hey, we don't need any more refiners. We've got the Swiss refinery over here, and we got the Sunshine refinery over here, and it's great. We don't need any. We don't really need that much gold anyway because most people never take delivery. Now what they're saying is, okay, we had a change, but it looks like this is going to be a permanent change, and now they've added they've tripled the amount of suppliers eligible to deliver bars to the exchanges. And the only reason they're doing it is because they know what? They're going to want delivery. I'm telling you this, you need to get ready. This is one of those things where, gradually, and then suddenly, boom, gold's up 1,000. Right? Think about the moves we have. $50 and $100 moves are nothing anymore. Going to be days where you're going to see $1,000 moves in gold. And I think it's all going to be to the positive. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. That is our toll-free number. Quarter bags of dimes and quarters. $5,900 delivered as gold is approaching $2,850 now. So here you go. Keep your eyes out, silver. We had an intraday high of $30. So silver getting ready here to close at one of the highest levels that we've seen since, remember, the last time it got to 50. And again, you know, when you look at silver, you got to look at this rationally. And it took a customer for me to do it, because he was in, and this was like a month ago. Came in and we were arguing about it. Well, I shouldn't say arguing about it, but he was pressing me about silver, and I was talking about $30 and $35. But when I look at gold, and I sit there and I'm like, I cannot, there's no reason that gold won't be, you know, $3,000 in the next 12 months. That's just my thoughts. That's just what I think. I'm watching all of this. I'm seeing all the spending and the debts, and I'm listening to the Federal Reserve tear up all their textbooks and now say inflation can be as hot as they want. And I listen to these morons that are our Federal Reserve heads, who I think it was the Cleveland Federal Reserve. She's a lady, not that it matters. Oh, yeah, we're not going to raise rates even if unemployment starts falling. I'm like, unemployment was at an all-time record low and rates were still zero. What? Really? This is what we're paying you to do? But if you think about $3,000 gold, and right now an ounce of silver is about 71 ounces to an ounce of gold, just right now. So if that ratio stayed, okay, you'd be looking at $42 silver. And that's assuming the ratio stayed. I think the ratio should be a lot more like 65. To me, that's fair value. 65 ounces of silver. Everyone's got a different number. That puts silver at $46. But I don't think it stops there. You know, are you going to be around for 5 more years? Right? Because in 5 years, I mean, what are we going to be talking about? $5,000? $5,000 gold? I mean, that's put silver somewhere around $70, $75 an ounce, right? You know, $10,000 gold, right? Now you're talking silver well over $100 an ounce. I mean, those are just reasonable numbers. I mean, silver's all-time high. Silver, the only metal that hasn't taken out its all-time high. I think it does it. I think silver takes out its all-time high, and I think that there's a good chance it could do it before 2021 is over. So looking at quarter bags of junk right now at $5,900, I think it's a great opportunity. Yeah, does it stink that, you know, God, you used to be able to buy junk bags, you know, for like $2.50 over? Yeah. But those times are gone. Okay, so you got to pay $4.50 over. So what? Take the time, put them away. 800-951-0592, and just, you know, let's hope it doesn't go that fast. But again, I don't know that we can avoid it. You look at where Nancy Pelosi was. We just had a great August in the stock market. They're talking about, hey, it's the best month of the stock market since August of '84. But here's the thing. Here's the problem. This was all on the July data, right? The June and July data when everything was reopened. And, of course, now then we know, right, everything started, some places started to close again, but the $600 ran out in August. Right, and now the data that's coming in, and we've already seen it. I've already seen the credit card data from Bank of America. J.P. Morgan just came out. There's been a significant slowdown in the economy in August. And again, even the states that have been approved, by the way, now just got an updated number, 40 states have now been approved. The vast majority of those states say it will still be weeks before you see a check. And remember, this was FEMA funds. It was only $44 billion. So by the time you get your money, the fund's going to be empty. And Congress hopefully will have had something done. But as it sits right now, they haven't done a darn thing about it. And according to Nancy Pelosi, they've drawn. She says that they've drawn the line in the sand. Either you give us $2 trillion or everybody gets nothing, which I can't understand, because it's one thing about, you can argue about whether states deserve money or not. Okay, sure, you can have that argument. You can argue about whether or not first responders should get this or hospitals should get that and all these things. But the money to the people that have lost their job for no other reason than you decided to shut down the economy, that shouldn't be debated. But, again, it's leverage, right? Just think about what we really are to our elected officials. We're nothing but leverage. And, of course, we've always said never rely on the government to provide you anything. Because here's the problem. Once you get on it, you never get off. Right? And think about what's happened. We've created some of the richest people ever on the planet during this crisis. And think about, we've also created 30 million more people falling out of the middle class. Just like that. Yeah, we got a handful of super rich, but what did it cost? Oh, about 30 million. No problem. That sounds like an empire crumbling, not rising. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment coming up. 800-951-0592, final segment on this Monday. Just absolutely just crazy, everything that's happened. It's hard to do it, when you have an hour show and you want to get through all this stuff and you don't know. I'm dropping everything. You just don't know what to talk about. And I'm watching the violence that we're seeing, and for me, I look at it more from the business's standpoint. The business in Portland just gave up. And of course, why? Of course you do. Just give up. And it seems to be spreading. The sheriff in Wisconsin talking about half the people are from out of town and causing all of this stuff. Again, I'll say it again. We need to get law and order. Right? There's only two kinds of protest: peaceful and not peaceful. Mostly peaceful does not exist. That's not a real thing. I wish it was. Wouldn't that be great? Oh, it's mostly peaceful. That's not a real thing. Mostly peaceful means it wasn't peaceful, period. And when you have it mostly peaceful day in and day out, it's time to get law and order. Or you're going to get what we've had, which is people taking the law into their own hands, which is not what we want. And it's just on top of right, the COVID thing, on top of the Congress essentially using all of these people as pawns. I couldn't imagine being one of these people, being unemployed. And think about this, they say there's all these jobs. There's not. We all know that. I mean, there's a few jobs out there, but not very many. And unfortunately, what a lot of what we're seeing, which is what I had been worried about all this whole time, the places that did reopen, not all of them, but 20 to 30% of them are going to go under. On top of, we already had 10 to 15% never reopen. They didn't even reopen. And now we're saying the ones that reopened, right, aren't making it. And all of a sudden, all these states, and I'm listening to these Fed governors, they're all saying the unemployment, the layoffs in their districts are rising again. So I don't know what Congress is doing. Of course, again, this is kind of the problem that we have. They don't care about us. They say they're for us. They're not for us. And this is why we need less government. This is a great example of why we need less government right here. You're telling me that 40 states have the ability to give people an extra $300, but as of today, only a couple of states had the ability to pull it off, and the rest of them, well, we've got red tape to work out, and it's going to be weeks? By that time, it'll be too late. Right? The businesses that needed that support are going to be gone. I don't know. 800-951-0592. Again, the Dow is down a couple hundred points. Most of it doing, believe it or not, with the Apple split, just kind of how they work the markets. The S&P's down 1 point. The NASDAQ's up as Tesla stock split and rallied again. That thing's, I don't even know what the PE ratio on that is. Quarterbacks of silver, $5,900 delivered. 800-951-0592. Everybody take care. God bless everybody. I'll do better tomorrow, I promise.